Is Sunday, August 8th, 2021, and we are live. Hope everybody's doing well today. Welcome to the African History Network show. It's been a very, very busy weekend and a very busy day. I was on a 2-hour broadcast today honoring the memory of Ranoko Rashidi, historian and anthropologist, Runoko Rashidi, and a friend of mine as well. Many of you know that Ranoko Rashidi passed away on August 2nd, Monday, August 2nd. He passed away. So we were talking about it here this past week on the show. And we'll discuss it some more on today's show since he passed away on Monday. So we didn't talk about it on our Sunday show last week, Sunday. So we'll discuss some more about, talk some more about Ranoko Rashidi, and I'll share another excerpt of an interview I did with him. I interviewed him a number of times, and he was actually one of my first interviews that I did back in 2010 when I first started the African History Network show. But I interviewed him in 2017, April 17th, 2017. And we talked about the Black Madonna and Child statues in Europe. And we talked about some articles that he had written for AtlantaBlackStar.com. So we'll share an excerpt of that interview as well. Okay. Now, so we'll talk about Ranoko Rashidi. Also, the Olympics are coming to a close. And many of you have been watching the Olympics. I have as well. Always like watching the Summer Olympics. I'm not a big Winter Olympics fan. I'll watch it some, but I'm not a big Winter Olympics fan, but definitely love the Summer Olympics. And many people saw Allyson Felix win her 11th career medal, and she has become the most decorated track and field athlete, male or female, with 11 medals. So we'll talk about Allyson Felix some, and it appears that this is going to be her last Olympics. She's 35 years old now. Since black don't crack, I mean, who knows if she'll come back. But ABC News has an article here. Allyson Felix makes history with 11th career medal at Tokyo Olympics. Lester Holt for NBC News interviewed her and talked about coming back after a difficult pregnancy, having to build her strength back, not being able to do 30 minutes on the treadmill, being dropped by her sponsor Nike as well, and talking about how Nike did not support her when she could not be 100%. So we'll discuss that as well. Thegrio.com has a piece about Allyson Felix. I feel at peace. Allyson Felix exits stage with record 11th medal. So we'll discuss that. And then I want to talk about early in the week, we talked about Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Black Women's Equal Pay Day. And Black Women's Equal Pay Day usually falls in the month of August. And that is the date that it takes the average African American woman it takes the African American woman 20 months to make the same amount of money that the average white male makes in 12 months. Okay, so August 3rd, Tuesday, August 3rd, was Black Women's Equal Pay Day, and the average African American woman earns 63 cents on the dollar that the average white male makes. So I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, August 6th. And we talked about the new job numbers that came out. The U.S. economy added 943,000 jobs in the month of July, but the unemployment rate for African Americans was almost double, was basically double that of white Americans. And also we saw a issue with the pay rate of African Americans. We saw that African Americans are participating in the labor force at close to the same rate as whites, yet earned 23% less on a weekly basis at $799 compared to $1,112 median wage for white people. So we discussed some of this on Roland Martin Unfiltered with economist Kristen Brody, Dr. Kristen Brody, PhD in economics. And I tied the unemployment numbers to Black Women's Equal Pay Day. So we'll share an excerpt of Roland Martin Unfiltered here on today's show as well. Now, I find it interesting how many African Americans don't know about Black Women's Equal Pay Day, including a number of African American women don't know about Black Women's Equal Pay Day. I'm not exactly sure why, but that's extremely important. And the average African American woman loses out on about $1 million in her working lifetime from age 20 to about age 60. She loses out on about $1 million. So that has a huge impact on the African American community. We're talking about real dollars, okay? And that's and those are dollars she and African American families are losing out on when it comes to buying property, buying stock, and starting businesses, investing in businesses, paying off debt, etc. Okay, so this greatly contributes to the racial wealth gap. So we'll talk about Black Women's Equal Pay Day. They even talked about it on Morning Joe this past week. Then we all remember the story of the McCloskey couple, Mark and Patricia McCloskey, just your everyday next door neighbors. Remember them in Missouri, and that white couple pulled guns, came out of their house and pulled guns as Black Lives Matter activists were marching through their neighborhoods. They weren't trying to overthrow the neighborhood like the domestic terrorists were trying to overthrow the government January 6th. They weren't destroying property and things like that, but they pulled guns on them. Okay. And then, they got arrested and they were prosecuted and they were convicted, rightfully so. Well, the governor of Missouri issued a pardon to the McCloskeys. Okay. The governor of Missouri issued a pardon to the McCloskeys, but you have an African-American man in prison in Missouri who has not been issued a pardon, and it appears that he is innocent of the charges. Okay. They talked about this on the readout with Joanne Reed. So we're going to discuss that case there as well. Okay. All right. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's corrects wrong behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events in history and politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, Kemet, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com to sign up for our email newsletter there as well. You can still register for the new 10-week online course that I teach on Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. We had a great class this weekend, and this weekend for this week's installment of the course, we discussed the presidential election of 1876. Rutherford B. Hayes, Republican. He was the Republican governor of. He was the governor of Ohio, Rutherford B. Hayes, and Samuel J. Tilden, who was the governor of New York. And because neither one of them had enough electoral college votes to become president, and Samuel J. Tilden was one vote short, he had 184 of the 185 electoral college votes needed. This led to almost basically a constitutional crisis, and it was decided by Congress. They had to put together a congressional a body to determine who was going to be president, and this led to the Compromise of 1877. The Compromise of 1877, where Republicans agreed to, if Rutherford B. Hayes became president, they agreed to remove the Union troops out of the South, which would end Reconstruction and allow the Democrats to take back control of all these Southern states and the Southern state legislatures and totally impose white supremacy. And this is what Reconstruction. Visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can register for that class. We'll talk about it some more on today's show. We're coming up here on the break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM, the Superstation and Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. How's everybody doing? Stand by. We'll be back from break in a couple minutes here. All right, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network. $sign the AHN show through Cash App. $sign the AHN show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Stand by. Share this broadcast. We'll be back from break in 4 minutes. All right, stand by. How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, August 8th, 2021, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. All right, we're going to go to clip number one in just a second here. Jalen from, I think that's the clip from Morning Joe, dealing with Allyson Felix. We're going to go to that in just a second. All right. So Allyson Felix has won a total of 11 career medals at the Olympics. She has become the most decorated Olympian when it comes to track and field, male or female. She broke Carl Lewis's record. And I watched the relay races also, which would probably be her last race. I watched the relay races. Okay, so they showed that it was like early this morning. Okay, I don't remember what time I went to bed, but I watched it. I think I recorded it also. So I'm going to go back and watch a lot of those. They have them. I think they have them all on the Peacock app. So I get that. I had to upgrade my Xfinity box. So I get all this stuff. I'm still trying to figure out all the capabilities of it. But I'm going to go back and watch all of that. But I was watching the relay races, and a thing Moo as well, or I think Mo was bringing up the rear on the relay race, and she was blowing everybody away. 19-year-old phenom. Her family's from Sudan. She represents the United States. She was blowing away everybody. So I always like watching. One of the things I like watching during the Olympics is I like to see African people from all around the world. I like to see Black people from all around the world. There's an article from ABC News. Allyson Felix makes history with the 11th career medal at the Tokyo Olympics. Allyson Felix makes history with the 11th career medal at the Tokyo Olympics. We're going to bring this up here. So American Allyson Felix has made history in what will almost certainly be her last Olympic race. Now, keep in mind, the next Olympics is in 2024 because they had to postpone the 2020 Olympics, was supposed to take place last year. They had to postpone it because of COVID, so it's taking place this year. So it's in 3 years. And I mean, they're saying it's her last Olympics, but who knows? Black don't crack. She could be back one more time. We don't know yet. We have to see. Stranger things have happened. Okay, stranger things have happened. Now, the sprinter earned a gold medal in the 4x400 meter relay race on Saturday, which is a fantastic race to see those sisters running and win gold. The 11th career medal gave her more medals than any American in track and field history. More medals than any American in track and field history. She already set the record one day. She already set the record one day earlier for the most medals by a woman in Olympic track and field history. Now, Allyson Felix took the bronze in the women's 400 meter race on Friday, August 6th, her 10th career medal. The Americans assembled an all-star lineup for the 4x400 relay. Cindy McLaughlin, the gold medalist and the world record holder in the 400 meter hurdles, led them off, followed by Allyson Felix. She handed off to 400 meter hurdles silver medalist and Rio gold medalist Dalila Muhammad, and then Athing Mo, the 19-year-old sensation from New Jersey, who won gold in the 800 meter. I saw Athing Mo win gold in the 800 meter as well. She closed out the race, so she blew. Athing Mo just blew everybody away on the last leg of the relay race. She just blew everybody away. I want to go to this clip here from Morning Joe, MSNBC. Lester Holt interviewed Allyson Felix to talk about her way back to the Olympics and to track and field after a complicated pregnancy. They also talked about her former sponsor, Nike. Let's go to this clip, Jalen.
Lester Holt sat down with a five-time Olympian. Allyson Felix says her fifth Olympics is about a lot more than medals. She's running for progress, for equality, and for her daughter.
I feel like becoming a mother changed me in every possible way. I mean, it shows me how strong I was.
In 2018, Felix, just 32 weeks pregnant, was admitted to the hospital with severe preeclampsia, a life-threatening complication. Her daughter, Cameron, was born weighing 3 pounds, 7 ounces. I'm sure nothing else mattered this event.
I was literally just sitting there watching her fight, every single day. Running was, the furthest thing of my mind. All my energy was going into just making sure that she was okay.
Cameron spent a month in the NICU. And then, lo and behold, she's out watching you run.
I can't believe how far we've come.
But the road back to competition wasn't easy. At first, Felix could barely walk. 30 minutes on a treadmill left the elite athlete in tears. People kind of expect to be Superwoman.
Yeah, and you expect yourself to be able to be Superwoman as well, then you get to a real-life experience and you are just grateful for your life.
That experience also led Felix to activism, testifying before Congress about Black maternal mortality.
With more support during their pregnancy.
And penning a raw op-ed about her frustration with her now former sponsor, Nike, writing, "I asked Nike to contractually guarantee that I wouldn't be punished if I didn't perform at my best in the months surrounding childbirth. If I, one of Nike's most widely marketed athletes, couldn't secure these protections, who could?" Nike declined. The way you stood up for women of color, mothers, it was a big risk.
It was terrifying. There had been silence around, the culture of pregnancy and sport for too long, and what I was experiencing, I just couldn't sit back and just let it go.
Soon after she and others spoke out, Nike announced expanded protections for pregnant women. And this year, Felix started her own shoe company on her terms, now admired as much for her advocacy as for her athleticism.
This is so much bigger than just running fast. It's showing women that we can be present at home and we can also thrive in our profession. It's showing my daughter, can you stay the course and can you keep doing things the right way, with character and integrity.
What great story. Great ending to that story. What's going on now?
Okay. Pause it right there. Okay. Thank you. All right. Check out the rest of that clip at msnbc.com. That's from Morning Joe. U.S. sprinter Allyson Felix wins bronze medal in 400 meter. That is from Friday, August 6th. 2021. That's at msnbc.com. We'll post a link here. Okay, now, how's everybody doing? Everybody share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Also, calling numbers 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. We'll go to the phone lines here in just a second. There was also a article from thegrio.com. There was also one from thegrio.com they picked up from the Associated Press called "I Feel at Peace." Allyson Felix exits stage with record 11th medal. Felix leaves the stage having won the most medals of any track athlete in U.S. history and trails just one person in the Olympic record book. But I would say it's not over till it's over. You know, who knows what happens? Maybe she'll come back for the 2024 Olympics. We'll see. You know, a lot of people say they're going to retire and things like this, and next thing you know, they're back. If she is still physically able to do it, maybe she'll be back. After the final race of the final games of the 35-year-old sprinter's career, Allyson Felix leaves the stage having won the most medals of any track athlete in history. It's some list. She passed Carl Lewis, and now she only trails one person in the Olympic record book, Paavo Nurmi, Nurmi, the Finnish distance runner who won 12 Olympic medals between 1920 and 1928. Okay, now Felix, who a day earlier took a bronze medal in the 400 meter race to become the most decorated woman in Olympic track, has no plans to go any further. In her mind, as a sprinter, at least, she also has nothing left to prove. She said, "I feel at peace." She said, I went out, had all the confidence in these amazing women. I wanted to take it all in one last time around, and it was special. Okay. Now she still plans to sound an active voice for women, and especially for mothers who too often hear what she heard when she got pregnant with her now two-year-old daughter, Cammie, that once women start having babies, their best athletic days are behind them. Once women start having babies, their best athletic days are behind them. Okay, so this is a article here from thegrio.com. So check this one out. Now, but if she had any concerns about the future of her sport on the track, the 3-minute 16.85 second jaunt she was part of in her last Olympic race, good for a 3.68 second romp over Poland, certainly put those to rest. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Let's go to, I think we have Marathon, line 1. Marathon, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from. You calling from where in Detroit? No. Which okay, you're calling from Detroit, Michigan. Okay. All right, go ahead with your question or comment.
Yeah, I was just listening to what you were saying about the track. I didn't know anything about it. I'm going to have to look her up. That sounds very interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't know she had that many medals.
Yes. What was your question? Did you have a question or comment, or were you just listening?
No, I'm just commenting on her. I'm going to look her up.
Okay, Allyson Felix. All right. Okay. All right, Marathon. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for checking in with us. Okay, let's go to line 2. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew, welcome to the African History. Okay, we lost Matthew. Matthew, call back. Calling number is 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. All right. Let's go. I also posted now the article I posted from I think that was the one from ABC News. One of them I posted about Allyson Felix. It got 6,000 likes on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network. I think that was the one from ABC News when she won her 11th medal. People went crazy over that one. Okay, I want to go to, we're going to go to clip 2, Jalen, here in just a second, and talk about Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Black Women's Equal Pay Day. We talked about this earlier in the week, and Black Women's Equal Pay Day. A lot of people don't know about this. And this also ties into the unemployment numbers and the earnings of African Americans. And I talked about this when I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered as well. When we look at the July jobs report, we see that African Americans earn 23% less on a weekly basis at $799 a week compared to $1,012 a week. That's median wages from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And when we look at Black Women's Equal Pay Day, it occurred on August 3rd. Okay, August 3rd was Black Women's Equal Pay Day. And this is the day that it takes the average African American woman the same amount of time. This is the day where the average African American woman makes the same amount of money in basically 20 months that it takes the average white male to make in 12 months. It's called Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Okay, there's an article from CNBC that talks about this. The average African American woman loses about $1 million in her working lifetime. Now, this impacts not just Black women, this impacts Black families, Black men, sons, husbands, the African American community in general. If we look at this article here from CNBC.com, Black women make nearly $1 million less than white men during their careers. Black women make nearly $1 million less than white men during their careers. This is from August 3rd, 2021. And it takes an additional 214 days. August 3rd, Tuesday, August 3rd, being Black Women's Equal Pay Day, marks the additional 214 days that Black women must work to catch up with what white non-Hispanic men earned last year. In essence, Black women have to work 579 days to make what white men do in 365 days. Okay, on average, Black women are currently paid only 63 cents for every dollar paid to non-Hispanic white men. For full-time working Black women, this amounts to a median wage of $2,009 a month, $24,110 a year, and $964,400 over a 40-year career, compared to white men, according to the National Women's Law Center. Okay, African American women lose out on almost $1 million in lost earnings over about a 40-year career. All right, now I want to go to this clip here from this is from Morning Joe. This is from Morning Joe, MSNBC. Tuesday marks Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Let's go to this clip. Clip number 2.
Employers may not allow you to know exactly, like I said, how much the person sitting next to you is making. Some may even discipline you for asking that. That has to change. Too often, secrecy is part of the problem. You know, information is power. You can't solve the problem if you don't know you're not getting paid fairly. My administration is going to fight for equal pay, or as it become a reality for all women. It's about justice. It's about fairness. It's about living up to our values and who we are as a nation. Equal pay makes all of us stronger.
President Biden speaking on Equal Pay Day back on March 24th. The day represents how far into the year women must work on average to earn what men earned in the previous year. And the disparity is greater for Black women. Nearly 5 months later, today is Black Women's Equal Pay Day, meaning that Black women will have to work an extra 5 months to catch up. 5 months. Right now, that's 63 cents for every dollar a white man earns. And caregiving to the mix, add that, and you will find that Black mothers make just 52 cents for every dollar a white father makes. The pandemic has only amplified these pre-existing inequities. Let's bring in author Minda Hart. Her book is entitled The Memo, What Women of Color Need to Know to Secure a Seat at the Table. Also with us, Aaron Haynes. editor-at-large for The 19th, the nonprofit newsroom focused on women, politics, and policy. Aaron, let's start with you with these numbers. These statistics really, they're staggering and also demoralizing. What more do you know about the inequity between Black women and white men, or even Black women and white women in terms of equal pay?
Yeah, I mean, it's just what you said. 579 days, Black women had to work extra in order to earn what white men earn in 2020, and that is a figure that should be alarming to everybody. And we're covering this over at the 19th. We've got a story up right now that shows, one report estimating that the executive and management opportunity gap between white women and white men will close in 2041, but predicted that the gap between women of color and white men may not close until 2124, which is 103 years from now, by the way. So there's an opportunity gap between white men and all other demographics, but Black women and white men have the most significant disparity. And look, the bottom line, Mika, is that Black women are doing our part. I mean, we're hyper-educated, we're qualified, and yet this gap persists. And so it's time for everybody who's committed to equity to also step up to help to close this gap. But that's not going to happen until this country starts recognizing Black women as equals, worthy of equal treatment in this country. And the pay gap is one way to address this. But the reality today is that this is really part of a much larger conversation about who's reflected, whose values are reflected in this country, and how that value is reflected.
Jumping off that last point, Minda Hart, how do we solve the problem? How do we even begin to solve the problem in terms of how Black women are viewed in the workplace, which then ultimately leads to how they are paid in the workplace? And also, what can Black women do to help rectify the problem as well?
Yeah, good to see you again, Aaron. So a couple of things. We really need to focus on what companies and organizations can do to solve this problem. And one of those things is normalizing pay transparency. Between 2016 and 2018, only 22% of companies reported even having salary audits. So we need to normalize transparency, and that will help recruit and retain women of color, Black women specifically, when we know that there's not demonstration of wage best practices. Number two, inclusive hiring practices, restructuring and prioritizing Black women in the workplace at every level of the company. And that's also including having a diverse hiring slate and making sure that the people doing the hiring are reflective of those Black women so that they can see themselves in those roles. And lastly, what Black women can do, we can continue to advocate for ourselves, articulate our value and quantify our work, make sure that people know what we need, and let's build a culture of allies inside the workplace. So if you are a manager, this is also your opportunity to make sure that everyone is invested on your team.
So, Mika, jumping into this really quickly, you worked with the Obama administration. They asked you to work with them on transparency, the very transparency that we're hearing about this morning, about how every company should let people know what others are making in their similar positions to see through that transparency how fair the pay is.
Yeah, no, it's through the White House Council of Women and Girls, headed up by Tina Chen. Valerie Jarrett was involved, and Equal Pay Day was a big deal. It's salary audits, which companies really push back on for a number of reasons, and also inclusive hiring practices. I talk a lot, Aaron Haynes, about meeting people where they are, instead of trying to get people to fit into corporate slots that were created years and years ago that nobody really fits into. So this is a huge effort, and what we're going to do is continue this conversation. Go to our website, knowyourvalue.com. You're going to hear a lot more from Minda Hart and Aaron Haynes on this incredibly important issue. Thank you.
Okay, that's from Morning Joe, MSNBC. That's from Tuesday, August 3rd, 2021. Tuesday marks Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Tuesday marks Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Now, if we go back to this article here from, if we look at the one from NBC News, and there was also a good one from Fortune.com as well. Why Black women's wage gap is a problem for everyone. Why Black women's wage gap is a problem for everyone, from Fortune.com. But if we look at this one here from NBC News, Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Black women work 579 days to earn what white men do in 365 days. So some of the things they talk about here are some ways to correct this. Companies and organizations now have a unique opportunity to play a vital role in evening the playing field for women of color. Here's how. Inclusive hiring practices is one. Only 1 in 5 C-suite executives at Fortune 500 companies are women, according to the 2019 McKinsey study conducted in partnership with leanin.org. And for women of color, it's even more isolating, just 1 in 25 in C-suite roles. Despite the current reality, there's good news. Companies can change and implement hiring practices that center on Black and brown women, African American and Latino women that have not been prioritized in the past. I am not suggesting preferential treatment, and this article here was written by Minda Hartz, who you heard in the segment there for Morning Joe. She said, what I am recommending is for companies and organizations to be intentional about having a diverse slate of candidates for all future positions at every level. And in addition, a diverse hiring committee should be formed to participate in the interview process. So much bias happens during the hiring process. And by modifying current hiring practices that might skew heavily to one demographic, gender, or race, implementing an equitable hiring framework while inevitably benefit the recruitment and advancement of women of color. They talk about pay transparency that you heard there in the segment as well. They also mention equipping our managers to be successful. And okay, so they lay out those three suggestions there. There's more. They have links in the article that you can check out for more information. Also read the piece from CNBC News. Black women make nearly $1 million less than white men during their careers. Now, there was an article from Black Enterprise back from either 2018 or 2019 that talked about the same thing. I deal with this a lot in many of my lectures. And this ties into the racial wage gap, the racial wealth gap, and this negatively impacts African-American communities. So I find it interesting when I hear some white people say that African-Americans could be equally successful as white people if they just tried harder. Well, why don't you try paying fairly? How about that? Not try harder. How about try paying fairly? Let's go to the phone lines here. Let's go to Joyce. Joyce, thanks for holding. Welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from, Joyce. Okay, we lost Joyce. Joyce called back. We have a lot of callers calling in, so people just be patient. Let's go to Helene. Helene, welcome to the African History Network show. Helene, tell us where you're calling from. Thanks for holding.
Yes, how are you? You're my next writer, and you're right. White men are paid more than black women, even the ones that have a degree. I experienced that working at the Fox with the images and American Pie. And the white male just had a GED. Okay, so that is true what you are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that I can think about that could resolve it is by joining a union. That's the only way that I can. That's the only way I think that it can be resolved. Okay. My second issue is I would like for you to expound on proposal two. Why weren't educated people educated on the proposal two, and why that caused us to on the proposal two?
Okay, for Let's take the second thing first for proposal P. Okay, you can hang up and listen. That's fine. For proposal P, you want to talk to people involved in trying to get proposal P passed. You want to you talk to the people that were putting out the messaging and find out why educated people weren't properly educated on proposal P. I don't know why. You have to talk to the people who were pushing proposal P. Maybe on shows during the week, early in the day, they'll discuss that. Maybe Sam Riddle's show or Bankalay or one of them. It's a messaging issue. This also raising the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to a minimum of $15 an hour would help level the playing field some. That can make a big difference. That will lift millions of people out of poverty, including many African Americans out of poverty as well. No, you're not going to get rich on a minimum wage of $15 an hour, but African American women, we look at women of color make up, I can't remember whether it's 40% or a third or something like that of women who make about $10 an hour. So raising the federal minimum wage from $7.25 an hour to $15 an hour would help reduce that disparity a lot. If we look at this article here, this is from October 17, 2019. Black women lose out over $1 million in their careers thanks to the wage gap. This is on Black Enterprise magazine. Now, one thing they talk about in here is a Black woman will lose out on $946,120 over a 40-year career. So back in 2019, it was 61 cents on the dollar. Now it's 63 cents on the dollar. At one point, it was 67 cents on the dollar. So it fluctuates from year to year. Assuming she and her white non-Hispanic male counterpart begin work at age 20, as soon as they begin work at age 20, a Black woman would have to work until she is 86 years old to catch up to what a white non-Hispanic man has been paid by age 60. An average African-American woman will have to work to age 86. Okay. So they also discuss in this one here, I think this is where they discuss, they talk about student loan debt, and the average Black woman carries nearly $30,400 in student loan debt compared to $19,500 average student loan debt of a white male. Let's see, when it comes to the most educated African-American women, doctorate degree holders. So they talk about how advanced education among African-American women has not been shown to lower the wage gap. In fact, the gap is largest for the most educated African-American women. Doctorate degree holders who are African-American women tend to make 60% of what their white male counterparts make. 60% of what their white male counterparts make. Okay, so read this piece here also from blackenterprise.com. Black women lose out over $1 million in their careers thanks to the wage gap. Okay, now we're coming up here on a break. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. The Superstation, WFDF. And before we go to break here, we have the Godfather package, advertising package from 9:10 a.m. Superstation. They have the greatest advertising deal ever with their Godfather package, 200 spots for $500 with a must air within 30-day policy. The commercials must air within 30 days. That is only $2.50 per spot, and they will even produce the spots for free. That's right, for free. Call Renisha Williams right now at 313-434-8291. Call Renisha Williams at 313-434-8291 and tell her that Michael Imhotep told you to call. Right, we'll be back in a few minutes. Listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. Stand by. All right, stand by, everybody. All right, stand by, everybody. We're back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Okay, stand by. Okay, we got Robert. How you doing? Samuel. everybody. Thanks for the donation, Samuel. Hey, if y'all want to support the African History Network, you can do it through Cash App or PayPal. $ the AHN show through Cash App or through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show. Because we get the money faster and we get more of it, because YouTube takes a third of what we get, and they only pay out once a month. Also, they pay out on the 21st. All right, stand by. How's everybody doing? Who still needs to register for the new 10-week online course that I teach on Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. All right, this is a 10-week online course that I teach. It's regularly $130. It's on sale $80. I'm going to post a link here. You can register for the course. As soon as you register, you can start watching content. You can watch the class we did this weekend and last week's class also, as soon as you register. Stand by. Okay, back from break in 2 minutes. Back from break in 2 minutes. Stand by.
Detroit, 910 AM Superstation, a division of Adele Media. I'm with Michael Imhotep and Anthony Network Show.
Stand by. All right, back from break in 1 minute.
On any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, August 8th, 2021, and we are live. Calling numbers 313-778-7600, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. In a few minutes, we'll talk about Ranoko Rashidi, and we know Ranoko passed away Tuesday, August 2nd. He was on tour in Egypt, passed away of a heart attack. I was on a broadcast today by Happy Films, Brother Taki Grant and Sister Felicia, Happy Films, and it broadcasted on YouTube and Facebook, and it was celebrating the life of Runoko Rashidi. I was on with two of my teachers, Dr. Leonard Jeffries, Professor James Small. Also on the broadcast was Dr. Jeffries' wife, Dr. Rosalind Jeffries, Robin Walker, the brilliant historian from England, Robin Walker, author of the book When We Ruled. Professor Hunter Adams, who we've had on the show before, he was on the call as well, and also the great Tony Browder. Tony Browder was on the call as well as Camille Yarbrough. Okay, so we had a great discussion. I was on there for about 2.5 hours, and that was about an hour. I got off of there about an hour and a half before we started the show today. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Be sure to go back and read those articles. And these are things that is going to be changed by policy inside of companies, federal policy as well. And we have to understand politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. Politics impacts every aspect of our lives, including businesses and how much we get paid as well. Okay, so this is all connected. All right. So I was on Roland Martin Unfiltered on Friday, August 6th. And we talked about the unemployment numbers. Okay, we talked about the job numbers. 943,000 jobs created in the month of July, 5.4% unemployment rate. And we were talking with Kristen Brody, who is an African-American female economist. And I connected the economic numbers to Black Women's Equal Pay Day as well. All right. I want to go to this clip here from Roland Martin Unfiltered. Faraji Muhammad was sitting in for Roland Martin. Let's go to clip number 3, Jalen.
Maybe back in the lockdown, I really can't tell you, but I think it's possible.
And you know, as part of the conversation, Doc, what do we do with this information? How do we use this information, this latest data, to empower our people, to empower folks, empower employers to get people back to work?
So I think the first thing is that we need to stop saying that people who aren't working are lazy or that they don't want to work. Yes, companies are offering bonuses. Some of them are one-time bonuses. But we have to understand why people aren't going back to work. Have they been vaccinated? Do they have child care? Is the job somewhere where they can get to it? Do they have internet at home and know that the job exists? So I think the first step is just figure out who the people are that are in need and really why they aren't working. And to help us understand that, yeah, people are getting these stimulus benefits, these unemployment benefits, but it kind of lets us know that we need to raise wages, right? I mean, if it is true that someone is making more from these benefits than they would have been making at work, that's a problem with wages, not with work.
Absolutely, absolutely. Dr. Kristen Brody, we appreciate your time with us tonight. You give us some insight about this latest report and the new jobs, and most importantly, its impact on Black and Brown communities. Thank you, Doc. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I want to bring in our panel tonight to give us some more details and their thoughts about what they're seeing coming up in the job market. We're joined by Brother Michael Imhotep, who serves as a host of the African History Network show. Dr. Naomi Carter, who serves as a professor at Howard University with the Department of Political Science, and Kelly Sophia of JD Communications. She's a strategist for JD Communications. Brother Michael, Dr. Carter, Kelly, thank you so much for being on the show with us tonight.
Hey, thank you, Roger. You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you so much. Brother Michael, let's start with you, because this is, you know, when we have conversations about economic development, when we have conversations about what's happening, you know, how we get our people back into the job market, I'm not hearing too much. I could be totally wrong with you, but I'm just not hearing having a conversation in light of the latest numbers and some of the things that Dr. Kristen Brody shared with us. Yeah, how do we have a conversation about these numbers, the unemployment rate being at 8.2%, and at the same time coming up with some ways to get our people back to work?
Well, that's why this show is so important. An in-depth analysis from an African-American economist focusing on job support and how it impacts African Americans. This is going to be one of the few places that we have this conversation. If we look at the numbers, now she talked about 6.5 million African Americans who are looking for employment but can't find it. That's the U6 number. Okay, the U3 number is the 8.2%. The U3 number is, see, there's 6 different unemployment rates. Okay, the rate that you hear, the 8.2%, that's the U3 number. U3 deals with people who look for employment in the past 4 weeks. Okay, now people who have stopped looking for employment but still want a job, okay, they're not counted in that 8.2%. So So one of the things that's important is to break down what these different numbers mean. And I encourage people to go to BLS.gov, Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS.gov. You can read the unemployment report there, or the jobs report there, and find out what these different numbers mean. The other thing that's important to note, now this ties into what happened this past Monday. This past Monday, August 2nd, was Black Women's Equal Pay Day. Black Women's Equal Pay Day marks the day that the average African-American woman has to work until the next year to make the same amount of money that the average white male made the previous 12 months. So it takes the average African-American woman 20 months to make the same amount of money that the average white male made in 12 months. The average African-American woman makes 63 cents on the dollar. If we look at this piece here from CNBC.com, it talks about how African-Americans are participating in the labor force at close to the same rate as whites, yet earn 23% less on a weekly basis of $799 compared to $1,012 a week. So a lot of this has to do with the type of jobs that we're in, access to the jobs as well. One of the things that's extremely important, and I used to work in job placement. I used to work for a job placement company that focused on African American communities. One of the things is extremely important is having culturally competent recruiters. Culturally competent, especially African American recruiters, who are more sensitive to our issues, more sensitive to our needs. Because we were able to get a lot of African Americans employed once we focused on things like how to market yourself as a problem solver. Not just having a good resume, but performing well in the interviewing process. A lot of them get killed in the interviewing process. And the other thing when it comes to technology, and I wrap up with this, when it comes to technology, one of the things that knocks us out is the optical character of recognition when you apply online for a job. Because when you apply online, this is my inside secret, they're looking for keywords that are already in the job posting. Okay? Use for hire and get more callbacks if you put those keywords in your resume and in your application. It scores higher based upon what they're looking for. A lot of us don't know stuff like that, so we automatically get locked out because of technology.
Okay, pause it right there. Pause it right there. Okay, so a lot of us get discriminated. A lot of African Americans get discriminated in the hiring process because of technology, and none of this has been explained to us, right? We get discriminated from the beginning because of technology. You can watch that full segment from Roland Martin Unfiltered. That's from August 6, 2021. Roland Martin on Facebook and Roland Martin on YouTube. We'll post the link here to the full show. So we had a pretty good show there. It got heated at some towards the end. Okay, but read this piece here from Washington Post. Now go to BLS.gov. Go to BLS.gov, Bureau of Labor Statistics, and you can read the unemployment numbers there. But search for how is the unemployment rate calculated? How is the unemployment rate calculated? And it will go through and explain that and break down the 6 different unemployment numbers, U1 through U6. The U3 number is the one that we hear in the news every Friday, first Friday of each month, 5.4% unemployment rate. That's the overall unemployment rate, but it's broken down U1 through U6. This piece here from Washington Post, this is back from December 12, 2016. December 12, 2016. Donald Trump still does not understand the unemployment rate. Donald Trump still does not understand the unemployment rate. This is written by Glenn Kessler for the Washington Post. And it goes through and explains the different unemployment numbers and what they mean. The facts, there are actually 6 versions of the unemployment rate produced monthly by the department's Bureau of Labor Statistics, BLS. That's BLS.gov, Bureau of Labor Statistics. The official unemployment rate is U3. Unemployment number 3, U3, which reflects people who are actively seeking jobs but cannot find one. Those are people who have looked in the last 4 weeks. Here are the 6 rates with the percent unemployed as of November. Now, this is 2016, so don't pay attention really to the
percentages. But the U5 number, total unemployed plus discouraged workers plus all other persons marginally attached to the labor force as a percent of the civilian labor force, plus all persons marginally attached to the labor force. So basically, what U5 number looks at is people who want a job but stop looking for a job. That's what the U5 number looks at. People who want a job but stop looking for a job. U6 number looks at, because I went and checked this. A couple of days ago. The U6 number looks at people who are underemployed. So they're working part-time, but they want a full-time job. They're underemployed. So there's 6 different unemployment numbers. All right. If you go to bls.gov and search for how is the unemployment rate calculated, it will go through and explain all that to you. Okay. All right. So, but once again, in that interview, Dr. Brody said that one of the things that has to happen is that wages have to be increased. Now, we do know in some sectors wages are increasing, but across the board, the federal minimum wage has to be raised to a living wage, a minimum $15 an hour. Okay, so hopefully, if they can get this passed through the 117th Congress, okay, then in 2023. After the 2022 midterm elections, they're going to have to get that passed in both the House and the Senate. It already passed the House of Representatives going back to, I think, 2018. The Democrats in the House of Representatives passed that back in 2018, but it has not passed the Senate. So the federal minimum wage has to be raised. Okay, let's go back to the phone lines quickly here. Let's go to who we have here. Okay. We got Helene, right? We got Helene. Who we have next? Is it Wadsworth or Aisha? Who we have next? Hey, Wadsworth. How you doing, Wadsworth? Go ahead with your question or comment.
Okay, good. I do have I have a comment and I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay, my comment is this. Okay, my comment, I'm going to tell you, if there is ways to as a school, the women raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, because you know the people in power, the people behind these companies and things, when they raise the minimum wage up, they will always find a way to keep the African community down, because they will always still keep us struggling. But you know, what is the way to keep? How do we get these people out of power? To those who are making the way get the minimum wage up.
Okay, are you talking about the corporations? Are you talking about the corporations? Well, some corporations have already raised their federal. Some corporations already raised the minimum wage to $15 an hour. What is based upon is state law and federal law. Some states have already raised the you have some states that have already raised the minimum wage, and some have raised it to $15 an hour. Now it'll go to $15 an hour incrementally. It'll increase by $1 each year. Some states have already done that and are on that track going back to about 2018. Now, if it's federal law, it's federal law. They're going to have to comply or they're going to get sued. If it's federal law, it's federal law. Same thing happened back in about 2010 when the federal minimum wage was raised to $7.25 an hour. Okay, so if it's federal law, it's federal law. Okay, buddy. Go ahead quickly.
What happens with Simone Biles? Do you agree that what Simone Biles did was right thing to do? Or did she do it out of ego, or do you think that she could have did?
She did what? When she didn't compete? No, that was not an ego. That was to preserve her mental health and preserve her physical health. Because she couldn't, because she had a mental block and she couldn't tell whether she was up or down, and she could have killed herself if she continued to compete.
Also, her aunt died while she was in Tokyo during the Olympics. So she did the right thing. Okay, Wadsworth, keep listening. Thanks for calling. Keep listening. Okay, 313-778-7600 is the calling number if you have a quick question or comment. All right, now I want to go to let's go to, okay, we're coming up here on the break. So we talked about this earlier in the week. On Tuesday, on Monday, August 2nd, we lost Ranoko Rashidi, historian and anthropologist. Ranoko Rashidi passed away at age 67. He had a heart attack while in Egypt on tour. At his website, drranoko.com. We've had Ranoko here on the show before. I think the last time we had him on was 2017. I think it was. I was going back through looking at some of my interviews with him, and we're going to share an excerpt of one on the other side of the break. The official announcement here from his family, August 2nd, 2021. And this is at his website, drranoko.com. Family, it is with our most sincere and deepest regret that the family of Dr. Ranoko Rashidi announced the sad news that he has transitioned into the ancestral realm on today, August 2nd, 2021. He was on tour in Kemet, Egypt, doing what he loved most. He will be greatly missed. Please allow his family the time and privacy needed during this difficult moment. We will be posting more information and updating this website as it becomes available. His sister, Carol Strong, was on the broadcast today. His sister, Carol Strong, as well as her husband. We posted that broadcast on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, and also on my personal Facebook page. So you can check it out there. And it's also on YouTube at Hapi, Hapi, Hapi. Was it Hapi Film? Hapi Talk, I think it is. Hapi Talk on YouTube. Okay, we'll post a link here for it. You can check it out. You listen to the African History Network show right here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation WFDF. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Stand by, everybody. Okay, back from break in 4 minutes. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Becky. All right, how's everybody doing? Share this broadcasting on social media platforms. Okay, back from break in 3 minutes. Who still needs to register for the new 10-week online course that I teach? From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power. Okay, stand by. Stand by. Back from break in 1 minute.
The Superstation. the oldest radio station in town since 1922.
Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Sunday, August 8th, 2021, and we are live. Okay, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN show through Cash App, $ the AHN show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN show, paypal.me/the AHN show. This is our official Cash App account here, $ the AHN show, SHOW. And when you go there, it'll show my name, it'll say Michael, and then show my picture there. These other ones are fake African History Network Cash App accounts that I did not set up. I don't know who set those up. I've already reported them to Cash App. So this helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. We're here 6 days a week, Monday through Friday, 11 p.m. to midnight Eastern Standard Time, and Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also, if you visit our website, African History Network, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, you can also register for the new 10-week online course that I teach on Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So this is a brand new, exciting class. And we look at each class, we go through and analyze approximately a 10-year period of history, starting in 1865. So you have 40 Acres and a Mule, Special Field Order number 15. You have Lincoln assassinated April 14th, shot April 14th, 1865. Civil War ending April 9th, 1865, when General Robert E. Lee surrenders to Ulysses S. Grant. We have the 13th Amendment ratified December 6, 1865. The Ku Klux Klan founded in Pulaski, Tennessee, December 24th, 1865. And we go through and analyze what happened after slavery ended. Okay, the Reconstruction era. We just dealt with finished Reconstruction this weekend, because we dealt with the 1876 presidential election and the Compromise of 1877, which ends Reconstruction and then allows the Southern Democrats to take back control of the South and to fully impose white supremacy. And we're going to see the full enforcement of black codes and things like this, and sharecropping and convict leasing system, etc. So, and then we'll go through the Jim Crow era, and we'll look at things like Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896 U.S. Supreme Court case, Williams versus Mississippi, 1898. We'll look at the grandfather clauses of 1898, Mississippi State Constitution of 1890, Louisiana State Constitution of 1898. And we'll see how they are attacking the rights of African Americans, including, and then we'll see domestic terrorism inflicted upon us as well. We'll look at World War I, World War II, the Great Migration, 1915 and 1970. Then we'll see the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement in 1954 with Brown versus Board of Education, in 1955 with the Montgomery bus boycott, and then also after the lynching of Emmett Till, and then the beginning of the Black Power movement in 1966. And we'll see how the Black Power movement comes out of SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. So this class is regularly $130. It's on sale $80. We do the sessions live. All the classes are recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. All the classes are recorded. I do a PowerPoint presentation. We have book references, articles, video clips, everything. It's a deep class. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So you can register for that at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. And then we also posted a link here. And then when you click on register here, it'll take you to the next page, and just click on enroll on the next page, and you can start watching the course content. All right. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. Okay, so right before the break, we were talking about when we came back from the break, we were talking about the passing of Ranoko Rashidi. Right before the break, we were talking about the passing of Ranoko Rashidi. And I was on a broadcast today where we were honoring Ranoko's legacy. Now there's an article from Detroit's own Herb Boyd for the New York Amsterdam News.
Name of this article is Ranoko Rashidi, Intrepid Scholar of the Global African Presence. Ranoko Rashidi, Intrepid Scholar of the Global African Presence. This is from August 5th, 2021. And here's Ranoko next to a Olmec head. And Ranoko traveled to, according to his bio at drranoko.com, it says 124 countries and islands. I thought it was 135. But somewhere around there, he documented, he took copious pictures and documented the African presence all around the world. One of the things I talked about today on the broadcast was the numerous articles that Ranoko wrote for AtlantaBlackStar.com. And this is something that I interviewed him about back in 2014, April 17th, 2014. We talked about some of the articles he wrote for AtlantaBlackStar.com. But an excerpt from this article from Herb Boyd says there is an abundance of serious scholars in the African-American canon, but few as intrepid, wide-ranging, and resourceful as Ranoko Rashidi. When you have interviewed Dr. John G. Jackson, edited Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, and challenged the conclusions of Dr. Shankata Diop, as Ranoko Rashidi did, then your credentials are unquestioned. And let me pull up. Okay, let me pull up. I had another picture also of Ranoko here. Just a second, let me pull this up. All right, 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600. Okay, so an obituary states that Ranoko Rashidi passed on August 2nd. And yes, he passed our way, but his prodigious research, his profound and endless curiosity on the global African presence is forever with us. Essential to Rashidi's scholarship was the prominence of African culture and world civilizations, and he pursued his critical foundation to the four corners of the world, unearthing information that extended the studies of his mentors, such as Dr. Chancellor Williams, Dr. John Henrik Clark, Dr. Yosef Ben Yakanin, Dr. Charles Finch, and countless others. To witness one of his lectures was to experience an exhibition of photos and artifacts to illustrate his phenomenal grasp of the African, European, and Asian past and present. In African Presence in Early Asia, co-edited with Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Ranoko Rashidi notes that, quote, blacks were the first in the development of Asia's early civilizations. Blacks were the first in the development of Asia's early civilizations. The hard factual evidence has borne this out in case after case. Although the story of the Black African presence in early Asia is obscure, its documentation is by no means new, and the works of Drusilla D. Houston, Joel Augustus Rogers, also known as J.A. Rogers, Joel Augustus Rogers, and most recently Dr. John G. Jackson can be singled out for broadening our awareness of the subject and providing a solid foundation from which we can move forward. Making sure his readers and listeners were aware of other scholars who had preceded him was a hallmark of Ranoko Rashidi's style and eloquence, and he traveled, surveyed, and extended the paths opened by these illustrious pioneers. The photojournalist, Dr. Wayne Chandler, who we've had on the African History Network show, we had him on Blog Talk Radio. I don't think I've had him here on 910 AM, but I know Dr. Wayne Chandler. Dr. Wayne Chandler, in his book, Ancient Future, had to say this about Ranoko Rashidi, his friend and colleague, quote, partaking of Rashidi's experience in the area of ancient and contemporary Asian civilization and culture influenced my vision of history greatly.
End quote. Read the rest of this piece here from Herb Boyd, historian and Professor Herb Boyd from New York Amsterdam News about Runoko Rashidi. The name of this article here is, we'll pull this back up here, Ranoko Rashidi, intrepid scholar of the global African presence. Ranoko Rashidi, intrepid scholar of the global African presence. This is from August 5th, 2021. Okay. All right. Now, I want to go to an excerpt of the interview that I did with Ranoko back April 17th, 2014. And this was before I was even on 910 AM Superstations. I started on 910 in April of 2016. So I was on Blog Talk Radio back then. 910 didn't even exist, not under Adele Media. That didn't even exist back then. In this interview, we discuss some articles that Ranoko wrote for AtlantaBlackStar.com. And this interview is the name of this interview is the Black Madonnas of Europe. The Black Madonnas of Europe. Okay. Let's start this. Should queue up at the 28:51 mark, right around there, Jalen. Let's go to this clip. And we're talking about the Black Madonna and child statues in Europe in an article Ranoko wrote about this. Let's go to this clip.
Yeah, a fantastic article for March 26th of this year, AtlantaBlackStar.com once again. The Black Madonnas of Europe, miracle workers, and holy icons. And I know you do some of this information in your fantastic book, Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe. I tell everybody to get this book. I talk about it in some of my presentations. I tell people, you know, it's a fantastic book. But tell us about this article, because some people still aren't familiar with the Black Madonnas of Europe at all.
Well, sometimes they're called Black virgins. You know, still a lot of people just don't know about them. I wanted to write something, you know, March is, I don't know how it came to be, but it's been designated Women's Month, a Women's History Month. And February is our month, you know, officially Black History Month. So I wanted to write something that will connect Black history with, you know, women's history, something that I hope would be considered empowering and inspirational. And it's fascinating. So what you have are images throughout Europe, throughout the world for that matter, but most of them are concentrated in Europe, several hundred of them, of statues or paintings or icons of the Virgin Mary and the infant Jesus, but they're painted black. And because they're black, it's believed that they're able to perform miracles. And you could say that they are the superstars of the cult of Mary. And I've been able to see personally about 8 or 9 of them. And it's one of the most remarkable phenomenon I've ever experienced. Seeing these black statues with, for the most part, European features is interesting. But seeing how the local people act around them, the fervor and the degree of adoration, it's really, really, really remarkable. I don't know if there's anything like it comparable in the world. I've seen them in Russia. That was my first experience in Europe, seeing them. France has the most, particularly in southern France, along the route that the Crusades were preached and the route that people, the Crusaders marched to get to Palestine and to, you know, embark upon the voyage to Jerusalem. Italy has quite a few. Spain has some really remarkable ones, including one called La Marinetta. That was, we used a photograph in there. So it's really a remarkable thing. Now, people can say they don't believe in that if they want to. That's fine with me. But when you go into these churches, what you find are the prayers of people written to the Madonna. And the prayers are for expressing gratitude of miracles that are attributed to the Black Madonna. People who were crippled were able to walk, and they left their crutches or their braces in the church. People who were blind and claimed that they could see, or women who had been unable to conceive and all at once got pregnant. One of the more recent ones that I've seen is in a place called Halle in Belgium, which is right outside Brussels. And this Black Madonna, one of the most interesting ones, who is actually depicted breastfeeding the infant Jesus, painted black as a lump of coal, is supposed to, her major miracle was that she stopped an invasion of that part of Belgium. And supposedly she thought she caught 33 cannonballs fired by the enemy, the invading army, in the lap of her skirt. Now, you can dismiss that all you want to, but when you go to the church, they have the cannonballs arrayed around the statue of the Black Madonna. So it's really, really an interesting phenomenon. So all of these articles are written to inform, to inspire, with the belief that very few things are as important in our studies as history. As Malcolm said, of all our studies, it is history that is most qualified to reward our research. So I look forward to writing a number of these articles for the Atlanta Black Star. I've already submitted articles on the Black kingdoms of ancient Southeast Asia. I'm looking forward to that. Vietnam, Cambodia. That ought to be a great photograph. And I wrote another one on Jay Rogers and another one on Ivan Van Sertima. You know, and there are one or two others. I'd like to do something on the Black presence in India, stating that of all the countries in the world, India has the largest Black population. And I'd like to do a piece on the missing noses on the African statues, because that's another thing that I get on my mind. Guaranteed, you know, a sure bet. If I post something right now, after I get off the phone with you, a statue from ancient Egypt, and the nose is missing, somebody, within a matter of moments, is going to say, they knocked the noses off. Or if you show a picture of Hormaka the Great Sphinx, people will say Napoleon. And then I thought, how do you know that? When you say they knocked the noses off, who are they? Why did they do it? What happened to those noses? I don't know. Somebody told me. I heard it on YouTube. Somebody said, I always believed it was my teaching. And then I get back, and this irritates me. But what is the evidence? What is the proof? What is the documentation? And then they get mad at me. They want to know the message. So my brother, to me, it's interesting. Not only what people do, but how you arrive at these conclusions. Because in many ways, even the so-called African conscious community is no different from any other people. Many people, in many cases, we're like the Tea Party or the birthers who say, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you tell me. Barack Obama is not a U.S. citizen. He was, and in many of us, we're the same way. How do you get this information? I don't know. I just believe that somebody told me. And that's amazing. People consider themselves educated and intellectually astute. But, you know, they just repeat the things we've always heard, even though there's no evidence to support it.
I get the same thing, brother. I get the same thing, man. And I'm like, I try to deal with facts and evidence as much as possible, you know. And I had this conversation with somebody 2 weeks ago who said that Africa was named after Scipio Africanus. And I'll be historically and linguistically how that is impossible. He gave sources. And they didn't want to believe me because here's what they said. No disrespect to the elders. They said that this is what Dr. Ben said. And I said, no disrespect to Dr. Ben, but he did the best he could do with the limited resources he had. But where is the evidence? We can look at the language, because we look at Africanus means above Africa or belongs to Africa. I went to a Latin English dictionary when I was doing my research on this to find that out. And then we look at the word Africa. I had Professor James Small on a couple weeks ago. And he broke down the word Africa means land of the free. And the free are, you know, North African people in Algeria and Tunisia, Black North African people who still live today. And then we can look at that Scipio. His family's last name was not African. That was not his surname. He put that after he conquered that territory because it was already named So we can look at numerous sources, but people don't want to. They don't want. They just want. They don't want to. They just want to believe myths and fairy tales, man. So
I can't think about. Now that's a result of slavery, and it just made us, as I pointed out earlier, psychologically dependent and intellectually lazy. Do we need a white person to tell us these things in order for a lot of us to believe it? But people, as you know, are argumentative and very, very defensive about these things. And it's really, in many ways, it's an insult, or the name Al-Qaeda. People say that was the original name for the continent of Africa. And I've come to the conclusion that's very Eurocentric thinking. The idea of continents doesn't seem to come out of the African experience. What makes you think that people had a name for an entire continent, or that people in ancient times even realized that they lived on a continent? Where do these designations come from? And so if you can't even ask the right question, you will never be able to get an acceptable answer, because whether we realize it or not, for the most part, we're looking at things from a Eurocentric perspective. And as a result of that,
exactly,
a lot of the things we study simply don't make sense, because we're not looking at it from an African perspective.
Correct.
I've probably done some work, and this is something I should do more work on myself, is the orientation of the world. That if we go, for example, Kemet in ancient times, the references to Upper Kemet, Lower Kemet, Upper Egypt, Lower Egypt, but up is the south. Lower is the north. And so, in a sense, and Charles Finch told me this way back in the early 1980s, the great Charles Finch, is that we're looking at the world upside down, without realizing it. And we get a little bit of knowledge, and we become very arrogant with it in many cases, and you don't want to hear anything else. It's as though you believe you've arrived, and therefore there's no need to go any further. And I think that we do ourselves an injustice for those of us, who have suffered and struggled and scrapped for hundreds of years. Our ancestors taken out the door of no return, etc. I think they deserve to learn. One of the scholars that I most admired and still do, had a big influence on me, was Dr. Chancellor James Williams. His magnificent reconstruction of Black civilization, where he says essentially the African historian must be on a relentless search for truth. It must not tremble with fear when that truth is contrary to what one would prefer to believe. And that's a difficult threshold for a lot of us to cross.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, very briefly here, in Nile Valley Contributions to Civilization, Anthony Browder dispels a lot of this, and he shows the correct orientation of Africa, because the way it is depicted to us is actually upside down. And Africa is actually much larger in comparison to Europe and other continents that is actually depicted. Okay, so these are things that we really have to understand and uncover. And as you say, and I paraphrase you in my presentations, and I borrow this from you. I always give you credit for it. I show a picture of you, introduce a lot of people to you, and I make it my own. But I say what you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you've been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. Okay, so this is why it is.
Obviously. But that's not for me. I heard I was in Ghana several years ago, and there was a brilliant brother in Cleveland named Quad David Whitaker. Has a law degree and a PhD. Brilliant brother. And he has a way of speaking. And he was addressing a group of people, particularly young people, and he used that expression: what you do for yourself depends on what you think of yourself, and what you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself, and what you know of yourself depends on what you have been told. That's really my philosophy of history. But I think, if I recall properly, those words actually go back to John Henry Clark. And I'm sure that they were not original with Dr. Clark. That what we're doing, I think I can say, is it's not really new. It may take on new dimensions and new directions sometimes. But what we're doing, you mentioned Manu and Michael Imhotep and Tony Browder and Brother Kaba and James Small and so many others. We just continuing what our ancestors have been doing for a very, very long time, and that is trying to put Africa in a positive light, and African history in a positive light, and use that information as a motivating force, as a kind of a guideline for what we need to do. Because history, as you know, cannot just be dates and facts and figures and what happened in a certain year. It has to have meaning, it has to have substance, it has to be a roadmap. And I think, you know, it's a very positive thing that we're doing, and I would like to think the ancestors are pleased by our efforts.
Hey, pause it right there, Jalen. Pause it right there. Okay, so that's an excerpt of an interview that I did with Ranoko Rashidi. That's from April 17th, 2014. That was back when I was on Blog Talk Radio. And that was even before I got on the Empowerment Radio Network. So I ain't have an 8-channel mixer. I ain't have a professional microphone. I have a 12-channel mixer now. So I was doing that with a headset. Calling it, I think I was calling it through Skype with a headset back then. Okay, so I've come a long way since then. All right, read this. So one of the things I talked about on the tribute to Runoko Rashidi today, that Brother Taki Grant did in Hop He Talks. One of the things I talked about was the articles, the numerous articles that Runoko wrote for AtlantaBlackStar.com, and I actually have a file folder full of these articles that Runoko wrote. This is ancient history, AtlantaBlackStar.com, ancient history, and it's my file folder. And these are some of the articles Runoko has written. These are just a few of the ones that I printed up. But this is one of my favorite ones right here. Moors, Saints, Knights, and Kings, the African presence in medieval Europe and medieval and Renaissance Europe. Okay, by Runoko Rashidi for AtlantaBlackStar.com. And he talks about his book. Some of this information here is in his book, Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe. And this is one of the books I use in my 10-week online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This is one of the books that I use in that 10-week online course. But we have this article up here, and in it, so we see Saint Maurice, the African Moor who became the patron saint of Germany, Saint Maurice. And this article is from June 1st, 2014 by Runoko Rashidi for AtlantaBlackStar.com. He wrote a number of them for AtlantaBlackStar.com, but this is Taharqa, okay? The African general Taharqa, who in 711 AD crossed the straits and disembarked near a rock in that's called Jebel Tariq, okay? So they land in what's today Spain, all right, lower portion of Spain, and it's called Jebel Tariq, or Tariq's Mountain, but it's named after Tariq ibn Ziyad. Tariq ibn Ziyad was the General Tariq, the Moor, who leads his troops in to invade the southern portion, the Iberian Peninsula. It's not called Spain and Portugal in 711 AD, but it's going to become Spain and Portugal. The Iberian Peninsula, and they're fighting against the Vandals and the Visigoths. Okay, Jebel Tariq, Tariq's Mountain, or Gibraltar, the Rock of Gibraltar, is named after Tariq ibn Ziyad. Tariq won paramount victory over the opposing European army. On the eve of the battle, Tariq is alleged to have roused his troops with the following words: "My brethren, the enemy is before you, the sea is behind. Whither would ye fly? Follow your general. I am resolved either to lose my life or to trample on the prostrate king of the Romans." Okay, so wasting no time to relish his victory, Tariq pushed on with his dashing and seemingly tireless Moorish cavalry to the Spanish city of Toledo. Within a month's time, General Tariq ibn Ziyad had effectively terminated European dominance of the Iberian Peninsula. So read this article here from Runoko Rashidi, Moor, Saints, and Knights, the African Presence in Medieval and Renaissance Europe. And the other, another article here
is that he wrote Joseph Ballon, the Chevalier de Saint Georges of France. Okay, that was the African man that I had up. Joseph Ballon, the Chevalier de Saint Georges of France. This is from April 13th, 2014 by Ranoko Rashidi. Let's go back to the phone lines quickly. Here's a picture of Joseph Ballon. Let's go back to the phone lines quickly. Let's go to Gary because we ran out of time here. We only have a couple minutes left. Let's go to Gary. Gary, welcome to the African History Network show. Tell us where you're calling from. Give us the succinct version of your comments or questions.
Yeah, Gary Joey from New Jersey.
Yeah,
I was listening to what you're saying, but as far as I agree with one thing is that a lot of historians like Shape Anthony Diop and Chancellor Williams, and they all of them have some positive, like even Runoko Rashidi also, they were also operating from a Eurocentric perspective, trying to prove something like based on what Europeans taught us, like, the ignorance that we learned from a savage, a European. And so therefore, I give an example, like Chancellor Williams, he was a brilliant scholar, like he wrote the Destruction of African Civilization. But yet he says that he was a staunch Roman Catholic. So that should tell you that if you don't understand that, how, if you read Dr. Walter Williams, the historic origins of Christianity, you know that, the Catholics, that's a regurgitated version of Africa. They took our history and regurgitated into a white supremacy religion with a white Jesus. All that was created, by Europeans, and black people created this. It was black people that created this white Jesus, And so Chancellor Williams didn't understand that, like that.
Well, we don't know whether he understood it or not. It was something. He was still a Roman Catholic. I read The Destruction of Black Civilization as well. Many of them know that. Many of them knew the history, but if they grew up as a Roman Catholic, they may have stayed that way. Now, them understanding history may have influenced how they continued to be a Roman Catholic, but we don't know whether he knew that history or not. I don't want to say he didn't know that history, but thanks for your call. Okay, we're running out of time here. 9:10 a.m. Superstation. You can call back tomorrow night. We're running out of time here. Hey, everybody be sure to register for the new 10-week online course that I teach. From the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Each class we go through and break down a 10-year period of history and analyze history from the end of the Civil War up through the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power. That's at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We do that on Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the classes live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. You can see me. I can't see you. You can be in your pajamas and have a bonnet on. I won't know the difference. Click right here on register here. It takes you to the next page. Click on enroll, and you can register for the course. As soon as you register, you can start watching content. You can watch the class we just did this weekend. Click on enroll right here. And then also you can register for the other 10-week online course, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. In this class, we deal with thousands of years of history. We deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. I use Runoko's book, Black Star, the African Presence in Early Europe in the class. Click on register here for that one. Also, you can start watching the content as well, and we'll see you in class on Sunday. We do that Sundays, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. We have to get out of here. Remember, right now, it's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace. All right, everybody, we got to get out of here. Let me see. Hey, Ruby, how you doing? Yeah, Ruby, I got the donation. I think that was from you. I got the donation. Thanks, Ruby. All right, how you doing? Greg, France Durham. How's everybody doing? Okay, so everybody, you can go back and watch this full broadcast. Becky,
You can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show. If you like this type of information, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show, or at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, we'll post the information here as well. All right. Okay, that last story we'll have to get to tomorrow, dealing with the McCloskey family out of Missouri getting pardoned. We'll deal with that. We'll deal with that on Monday's show. All right, Greg. All right, thanks. Happy Sigma anniversary, Amelia. Okay, how you doing, Amelia? Okay, so we have 2 online courses you can register for that I teach, and we deal with thousands of years of history in the classes, and then also all of my DVD lectures and digital downloads are available at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. This helps us to keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. So we have a lot of my lectures we have in bundle packs. We have, okay, this was my latest lecture. This deals with the real history of Juneteenth. I did that February 16th, 2021. We have, okay, that deals with the real history of Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. This is a 15 DVD bundle pack right here. This is 15 of my lectures. This is on sale, $100. The Michael Imhotep Black History Month 15 DVD bundle pack. And we deal with, let's bring this up here. It always has a problem loading here. 15 of my lectures, everything from my presentations dealing with the film Black Panther to this one here, Breaking the Chains, dealing with the real history of Black History Month. One dealing with the distortion of the legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the revolutionary Dr. King. We have my presentation dealing with the history of the 3/5 Compromise of 1787 and the Electoral College, creation of the Electoral College, the origins of the white national anthem, the Star Spangled Banner, Lift Every Voice and Sing, Human Guinea Pig. This deals with the history of the Tuskegee experiment of untreated syphilis in the Negro male. Also Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization, Great African Women in History, the Mothers of Civilization. You get all these and more. It's a 15 DVD bundle pack. That is the Michael Imhotep 15 DVD bundle pack, Black History Month bundle pack. It's good any time of the year, but you can, it's definitely good during African American History Month, because a lot of times during African American History Month, people are looking for like new information. They don't want to keep dealing with the same 15 to 20 sanitized Negroes every year that they hear about every year, and they want like new information. So that is a good place to start. Okay, let's post this link here for that. But yeah, we have bundle packs there. We have about 40 things, maybe 45 of my lectures there at our website in DVD format and digital download. Okay. Also, the Black Migration 1619 to 2019 6 DVD bundle packs, and that's in digital download format also. Black Migration 1619 to 2019, and that includes ancient Africans in America before Native Americans, Columbus, or slavery, from Kemet to Wakanda. Black Migration 1619 to 2019. This one here deals with when black men dominated horse racing and how we dominated horse racing and were winning the Kentucky Derbies till there was an organized effort by white men to push us out of horse racing. Then also 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. All right, that's that bundle. That's in DVD format and digital download format. That's on sale. It's like $45, $50. So you can check that out. We'll post a link here. All right, look, we have to get out of here. Right now, let's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.